Okay, hello people. I just wanted to go through the NASA rollout of their ROSA system on ISS. It's a rolled out solar array using new thin film photovoltaic voltage cells. And I have here a video from June the 18th that says the rollout solar array ROSA was deployed from the end of the Canadarm robotic arm on Sunday, June the 18th, outside the ISS. It's an experimental type of array that rolls out in space like a party favor. I think that's an American term for one of these blow things, like a whistle with a tube. I don't know what they would call it in the UK, to be honest. Party blowers or something. I don't know. I didn't even know they were called party favors, but there you go. So it's more compact than current rigid panel design. So it's supposed to be designed to replace these rigid panels. It's supposed to be more effective, efficient in terms of weight and power generation. So it says this investigation tested deployment and retraction and characterizes changes when the Earth blocks the sun, vibration, and other physical challenge to determine the array's strength and durability. It has the potential to replace solar arrays on future satellites, making them more compact and lighter weight. Satellite, radio and television, weather forecasting, GPS, and other services used on Earth would all benefit from high-performance solar arrays. Well, why are they sticking in more ground-based towers then? Okay, right. It'll remain deployed for 7 days before retracting and will be stowed back inside the trunk of the SpaceX Dragon cargo vehicle. Note, footage of deploy is sped up by 300%. Now, it says the payload will remain deployed for 7 days. Are they talking about the actual array? The payload will remain deployed for 7 days before retracting. Now, is that retracting the whole payload or is it the actual array? Up to you. So I just play this now, replay it. Just says basically what it said in the top there. We'll just bring that forward. This is the base of the system where the array sits. I don't know what this is here. Find out later. I think this is it retracting it from the, that is the payload, retracting it from the cargo on the SpaceX Dragon. This is the actual wound up solar thin film array here. Now it has two extending booms, which I call booms, but they call them longerons, and they're actually flattened out booms, which provide, when they're rolled out, these things heat up and they reform into the shape that they were manufactured in, but when they're actually coiled up, they're flat. You'll see that later on how it works. I can understand that because technologies you have at the moment, you have sort of memory plastic or memory rubber where you produce a part, you create it into a cylindrical shape, and then when you heat it up, it can conform to a specific shape, like different diameters, and it's sort of as if it has memory. For example, like a CV boot joint. I mean, when they're made, they're quite small. When you heat them up, they expand and all the ridges remain. So this is it out on the Canadarm. Canada 2 arm, I should say. Again, they said it's sped up by 300%, so I guess, you know, I'm not seeing any changes here. So here are these two booms coming out now. Look how this thing is flapping. Just let this run. Oh, I'm not sharing the bloody screen. Sorry, folks. I thought I was sharing the screen. Here we go. There we go. Sorry. Damn it. Here we go. Okay. So I'm just going to rewind that. I do beg your pardon. This window was... let me show you back here again. Start again. This is what we're saying. Deployed from Canadarm2, June 18, outside the ISS. Deployment and retraction. So this is the base I was just talking about. Do apologize again. Again, this is the thin film panel, which is all rolled up. These are the two booms I was talking about, just basically without a picture. You'll see how they'll extend in a sec. That's obviously the Dragon X that's been taken from. These are the original solar arrays. Talk a bit about that in a minute, what they say about them and how inefficient and unreliable they are. They're still there. And here we go. So I guess this footage is, as they say, is sped up by 300% there of deploy. Now, when they talk about deploying, is it the deployment of this? I guess it's this, but not necessarily the actual deployment of the unit itself on the arm into position. Watch how this thing just waves in the breeze. You can take a note from the AFRL there of that. There is another description here, but you can't see it because of the light. Any changes in the cloud there, people? Note the position of the array regarding the Earth's spin or the travel of the ISS. So basically the thin film photovoltaic cells, as they're called, it's all produced on a film with a substrate, and they're actually printed as such, if you like, a bit like a newspaper print, but using metal oxides and what have you to make up the cells. So it's basically like a paper version of the solar arrays you see on your house. So instead of using glass and semiconductor, they're actually using a thin film substrate to create the photocells. And again, if they're saying that this is being deployed for 7 days and it's been tested, but they say they're not actually connecting it because it's just the deployment of the system itself. They're not taking any measurements from this, and this is supposed to have been tested on Earth in a big vacuum chamber. I'll get to that some more points in a minute. Just show you the video first. Again, note the orientation. You can't see the logo now, so this is looking underneath it. Now these two booms here are heated. I call them booms. They call them longerons. Longerons. But this thing is supposed to be self-powering, so when it comes out, it supplies the heaters for these, so it can actually allow it to extend. Note the rotation. Again, they're saying it's 300% sped up 3 times. Flapping in the breeze, look at that. So what's the requirement for this? It's to actually replace the larger arrays. These are supposed to be more efficient. They do talk about 50 kilowatts of power generated from these arrays, these new arrays. Look at that thing flapping in the breeze, look. You can see there the longerons have gone cylindrical in shape as they've been unwound. Oh, this is a better shot, look, yeah. You can see how it's starting to become cylindrical as it moves out. It looks like a sort of Kevlar carbon based. I'm not sure if the rubber compounds involved in that would be enough to actually cause the effect. It does look like carbon, doesn't it? Carbon fiber. Again, note the rotation, any cloud changes. 300% speed it up. Again, notice the logo on the array. Notice the logo on the array. Have they rotated it? Is it a different picture? And that's the deployable space systems. There we are, DSS, not Department of Social Security. There's this would, I would suggest, would have been the power cables for it. Now they said they're not testing for power; they're just testing the deployment of the system itself. No, thank you. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the. This is from NASA's spaceflight.com. Could get a clearer picture of this, but it doesn't. Can't even highlight it any better to see. Oh, what it's showing. Honestly. And as you look down, they give a cartoon image of what the array would look like in perspective to the ISS. And it's not that big, is it? And here's a picture of an array. Looks slightly different, doesn't it? It doesn't look exactly the same. There's the longerons there. That's it stowed. Very mass efficient. And these guys in this forum actually start arguing. Oh, I would think for interplanetary probes, the need for vast arrays when sent to Jupiter and beyond. Yes, useful. Yes. A little confused why the AF calls it a success story before it's even tested in space. Well said, fanboy at large. Excellent. Exactly. Okay, and come on, guys, let's not start congratulating ourselves before we've actually, accomplished anything. Yeah, true words, mate. True words. Well, there's a guy down here that answers questions. I'll go to this document in a minute. This is the best source I found that explains how it maintains its rigidity. Yeah, it's not that interesting. That's a fair enough question. I was told the CRS-11 thread that this have a dummy load. I'm curious how they plan to dump the waste heat. Does it include a radiator assembly? Yeah. Here we go. It says, I don't know about any details, but you're quite easy to construct a little can device with a reflector, insulated on one side, blah, 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 pointed in the same direction as the solar cells. It just emits heat back to the source. No need for extensive low temperature radiators, okay? It would be nice if we could get a less blurry image of the top picture, ROSA, as packaged for the ISS. Exactly. This is the fella here. Yeah, exactly. Let's get a less blurred image. Idiots. Yeah. Some details for this paper. The longerons are split tubes, flattened and rolled up lengthwise for launch. The elastic memory composite, the EMC material freezes in configuration. Sunlight is used to heat the outside of the roll, causing it to slowly extend and unflatten its original shape. Okay, I didn't read the entire paper, but it sounds like this allows deployment without a motor or speed control device. Clever. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, to get those two booms out exactly the same time, I'm sure I read somewhere that they do heat it, that it uses its own power to actually generate the heat for the long runs. Do we know that the mass and power output of this prototype are? Also, I find it really cool that it's possible to fit a huge panel of this kind into the Dragon's trunk. I think you just asked and answered the question there, mate. Nyloff. That's obviously an answer to that one. But stay tuned. I think I can answer a few of your questions above. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it says here that they're going to store it after 7 days. We will retract our wing, get stowed back on the trunk for disposal. We have to latch the array when we retract and cannot redeploy. So it's a once only thing. So the video we saw there is going out and that's it. Really, what a complete waste of time. And there we see the actual size compared to a human next to it. I mean, it's just a demonstration, really. It's not. They didn't actually produce any power from it. So why go to the bother putting a thin film on? They could have just put a sheet of plastic on this. Here, look, they give a bigger size for an array compared to the space station. You know, how long is this boom? That looks stable, doesn't it? Okay, so this is a document taken from the NASA site, 2005. So the later one that is for the project number 3005. So I'll go to this one, which is a later one, 2006 even. So they say advanced solar arrays capable of generating greater than 50 kilowatts of total power. Density is greater than 250 watts per kilogram, and required for many future Air Force missions. Not NASA, Air Force missions. Remember that. So to meet the requirements of future Air Force missions, the rollout and passively deployed array, which that is called Raptor, has been developed. This is an innovative, patent-pending design taking full advantage of latest advances in thin film, photovoltaic, and TEMBO. TEMBO is a trademark for this EMC, or elastic memory composite technology. And the key feature in the design, the use of solar energy to passively actuate the TEMBO. There you are, you see. The key feature of the design is the use of solar energy to passively actuate the TEMBO EMC members and deploy the array. So it's not using the sun to warm the longerons. It's actually there says it use of the solar energy to passively actuate the EMC members and deploy the array. So the present paper addresses development and validation of detailed designs for the Raptor. Okay, so we come down here, and again it just says the same again. There we are. This is engineering test model. EMC primary longerons. That's the two black carbon or Kevlar tubes you saw extending. This is just a diagrammatic view of it. EMC primary longeron there. This is a rigid panel array. Ultra flexible. Boring stuff, boring stuff. Okay, so that's the temperature differences between extending and non-extending. That's the point where it'd be warmed up. So you've got a transient thermal along the longeron. It's just a boom, really. You should call it a boom. I don't know why they call it a longeron. But there you go. All tested in a vacuum chamber. That was a heat, obviously, heating that up there. Okay, and this one, okay, that's the same. Here we go. That's it, looking there. Looks like the same one. Now that's pointing away from the Earth. They do say that the go on to this, that the ROSA actually radiates the heat into outer space, but the bottom of it is actually pointing to the Earth. This is a different slide system. It's called a FACT system, but the Mega ROSA, 100 kilowatts to several megawatt. Oh, really? Please. I don't know. It just doesn't look completely all right. And go back up to this again. I'm going to show you this document. Where is it? Let's have a look at this one. Here we go. This is a good picture here. Look at the size of this thing compared to the chap that was on the little test one. So they're testing this. These are the, looks like it's a rigid display, but they're saying it's the ROSA. It goes to under testing. It's gone to the trouble of producing this thing, but not the actual base plate and mechanism for rolling it out. So they've only tested one that's probably about this size on a rollout. This looks more like a rigid panel to me. Similar to this here. Deep space missions can benefit by using the rollout solar array. ROSA technologies. Yeah, right. I think we're at the cusp of something really big here. Again, it's just to show that they're developing these arrays which could probably be capable of deep space system exploration, and another way to embed their need for continued funding, not only this, but for future spacecraft satellite technologies, for GPS systems. I mean, we all know these solar panels we have on our roofs, they have a finite life between 5 and 10 years before they become not as efficient as they were when they were brand new. This technology investment furthers the agency's deep space exploration goals and aids the commercial communications, satellite industry, direct-to-home TV, satellite radio, broadband, internet, and multiple of other services. Okay, so why, if they're developing this for all the satellites, why are they sticking in all the towers everywhere? So yeah, that's just the question. High power increases satellite capability. Well, what are they using at the moment? It seems to work fine, doesn't it? Let's go back to this picture again, see if I can see anything else. Seen that one. Here we go. Let's have a look at this fella here. No idea what the size scale of this is. No idea. Again, it's just another aspect for them to try and come up with more funding. Forget, this was just the deployment of the array, not necessarily testing the actual power generation it could create. Let's go back to the video again. Let's watch this again. Bring it up to here. So you can see the relative size of this now, where the chap was down below, just sitting to the side here in all his clean room gear. Note the spin of the Earth again. Look at the clouds. Are they changing? Are they changing? Oh, bit jittery there. Nothing changing, nothing changing there. Again, this whole surface will be, and this here would be blasting through this thermosphere at a rate of knots. How is everything going to be statically discharged? Any change? Any change? So I want to go back to here again. Another document. You see, there's the chaplet. See, gauge the size again. Boom, boom, boom. Let's have a look. Where is it? Not that one. This fella here. Okay, that's the same 2005. How it explains its rigidity. Just bear with me a minute. A lot of technical garbage here. Not really interested in going through, but they did say how they were tested. One in 50 kilowatt. Really? Seen all that one. Seen that. I'm sure that's the same one. Come up again. That's probably the same one. I'm sure it is. No, okay, let's have a look. Yeah, okay. Just regurgitation of the same as they were saying before, really. Really. The blanket and photovoltaic performance are measured by collecting current voltage sweeps to the near open circuit voltage to the near short circuit current every 2 minutes for the duration of the mission. Well, temperature, sun, angle, and shadow are measured in order to correlate the measured IV data. Well, it said earlier in another one that it's just for the extension of the array and to be left extended. So they are, looks as if they are doing some. This is the same one, isn't it? Oh, space station rollout solar array. Yeah, 18th to the first, 17. Right, first. Okay, that's a different date. Back to this one. Note the logo there compared to the spin. Change direction. These must be the cables here, which they're attached. These big black, as you can see there. What's the point of putting this up there? Not to test the functionality of the arrays. No, thank you. So yeah, so it questionable, really. Yeah. Who's to say? Just looks like another excuse to get these funding. Let's see if this one's any better. No, it isn't. Seen this one. That's a bit better, but doesn't give us as much information. Oh yeah, there it is there, look. Looks like a completely waste of effort, I think. A lot of money for nothing. All right, I'll leave it there. Again, if anybody thinks these things are a good idea, or, you know, because they do say that it's to replace these type of arrays here, because they're, you know, I mean, they must be ancient, these things, old technology. I mean, when have they replaced, have they ever replaced any of these solar arrays? I mean, we know the ones that we put on our houses, they, after about 10 years, they become less efficient. They don't produce as much. I mean, I'm sure these are probably a super duper, but they've been up there for years. So, yeah, again, just another NASA pantomime, I'm afraid, I think. I'll leave it at that.